All right, let's dive into one of the biggest challenges that pretty much any business has to face: strategic capacity planning. Now, I know, it sounds super formal, right? But stick with me here, because at its heart, it's really just this fascinating balancing act, this constant dance between supply and demand.
I mean, you know the feeling, don't ya? You're stuck in a line that just will not move. Maybe it's the grocery store, maybe it's security at the airport, and you're just standing there, your frustration building. You might even think to yourself, you know what? This just isn't worth it. Well, that feeling, that's a capacity problem, right there in the wild.
Okay, so now let's flip that coin. Have you ever walked into a massive store and it's just empty? You can hear your own footsteps echoing. It feels kind of weird, right? A little eerie, almost wasteful. That, my friends, is the exact opposite side of the capacity problem.
And those two extremes, they really highlight what a high-stakes game this is. Finding that perfect sweet spot between too little and way too much is absolutely crucial, because if you get it wrong, oh man, it can cost a business big time. This whole thing is often called the Goldilocks problem, and no, we're not talking about porridge or chairs. We're talking about finding that level of capacity that is, you guessed it, just right for whatever the organization is trying to achieve. So let's break that down. If you have undercapacity, your resources are stretched thin, your people are stressed, and you're probably losing customers who just get tired of waiting. But with overcapacity, well, now you're just burning cash. You're paying for empty space, for idle machines, for staff just standing around. It's a classic tightrope walk. Okay, so to even begin to solve this puzzle, we have to make sure we're all speaking the same language. We need to get really clear on our terms. So first things first, what are we actually talking about when we say capacity? So in simple terms, capacity is just the ceiling. It's the absolute upper limit of what an operating unit can handle. And that unit could be anything. It could be one machine, a whole department, or an entire factory. And the load? That's just the work it's doing, whether it's building cars or serving coffee. But here's where it gets interesting. Capacity isn't just one number. We have to split it in two. First, you've got design capacity. Think of this as the perfect world, on paper, nothing ever goes wrong number. But then there's reality, and reality is called effective capacity. This is the number you get after you subtract all the real-world stuff like machine maintenance, employee breaks, and shift changes. And I just love this quote because it nails the difference perfectly. One's the theory, the other's the practice. And as we all know, a real Tuesday is almost never as clean as the plan on paper. So that leads us to the next logical question, and it's a huge one for any manager. It's not enough to just know what your capacity is. You have to know how well you're actually using it. And to do that, we have two really powerful tools: efficiency and utilization. Think of it like this. Efficiency tells you how you're doing compared to your realistic potential, your effective capacity. Utilization, on the other hand, compares your performance to the theoretical maximum, that perfect world design capacity. All right, enough theory. Let's make this concrete and get our hands dirty with a quick example. Let's imagine we're looking at a factory that builds trucks. So here are the numbers. The factory was designed to make a max of 50 trucks a day. But realistically, with breaks and maintenance, its effective capacity is 40. And on an average day, its actual output is 36 trucks. Got those numbers? 36, 40, and 50. Okay, let's calculate efficiency first. We take the actual output, 36 trucks, and divide it by the realistic effective capacity of 40 trucks. 36 divided by 40, that gives us 0.9, or an efficiency of 90%. That's pretty good. It means the factory is running really well compared to its day-to-day potential. Now for utilization. We take that same 36 trucks, but this time we divide it by the big one, the design capacity of 50 trucks. 36 divided by 50 is 0.72, or 72%. See the difference? Both numbers are really useful, but they tell slightly different stories about the factory's performance. Okay, so once you can measure your capacity, the next million-dollar question is strategic. How do you plan for the future? How do you grow? Generally speaking, there are three main paths you can take. First is a leading strategy. This one's aggressive. You build capacity before the demand even shows up, betting on future growth. Then there's the following strategy, which is much more conservative. You wait until you're already bursting at the seams before you expand. And finally, there's tracking. the middle road, where you add capacity in smaller steps to keep pace with demand. So, how do you pick the right path? Well, it's not just a guess. Smart organizations follow a formal planning process, a kind of strategic roadmap to help them make the best choice for the long term. The process starts with a bit of forecasting. You estimate what you'll need in the future and compare it to what you have now to find the gaps. Then you brainstorm different ways to fill those gaps. Maybe build a new plant, maybe outsource, maybe just improve your current processes. After that, you run the numbers, you think through the qualitative issues, and you select the best path forward. But listen, the process doesn't stop with a decision. A plan is completely useless if it just sits on a shelf collecting dust. You have to actually put it into action, monitor the results really closely, and be ready to adjust as you go to make sure the plan is actually working. Before we wrap up, there's a really important twist here. Everything we've talked about, well, it gets a whole lot trickier when you're dealing with services instead of physical products. I mean, just think about it. A hair salon has to be located where the customers are. A barber can't give a haircut today and then store it on a shelf for someone to use next week. And demand for something like a doctor's office can swing wildly from one hour to the next. This makes planning capacity for services a uniquely challenging puzzle. So, the next time you breeze through a checkout line or you see a new highway lane being built, you'll see the hidden hand of strategic planning that made it all possible. So, look around. Now that you know the framework, what other examples of these critical capacity decisions can you spot shaping the world all around you?